Hey, Kathleen here. I am going to just tell you about my MARPE installation day and a little bit, the next few days as far as pain and that kind of thing. So if this is of interest to you, go ahead and subscribe so you get more notifications when I post things. But basically, there's a couple things I want to talk about. So before MARPE, you have to go in and get some measurements done 6 weeks ahead of time, and then they can build your custom MARPE appliance. Now, over those 6 weeks, I had no contact really with the doctor's office, the orthodontist's office, except that I called and said, hey, is there anything I need to know ahead of time? Like, is there any prep I should be doing? Anything I need to know before the day of, and that kind of thing. So if I hadn't called, I really wasn't going to get any kind of information, which I kind of found strange. So I am going to drop in the description kind of a write-up of this is what I wish I had known ahead of time, and I'll also talk about it here. And then also afterwards, they did give me something as far as to take home and make sure that I knew. Now, just FYI, this is a virtual background, so sometimes you'll see me going in and out. All right, so prep. Before you go in for your MARPE installation, you want to have a decent meal. So have a good meal the night before, depending on what time you're doing your procedure. Mine was at 1:30. We drove 3+ hours and then had a good lunch. So we went to a Mexican restaurant, had some chips and salsa, had some carne asada tacos. So, so you want to do that, knowing that you're not going to be able to really chew a lot, crunchy, that kind of stuff for a while. So that was number one. Number two, and I'm looking down here at my notes. Number two, you want to get a water flosser ahead of time. So a water pick or whatever brand you want. I dropped the link of the one that I used that I bought down in the description. I actually have a video. Maybe I'll link the video as well on my other YouTube channel where I post Amazon influencer reviews of products. So you can see that. Also get some silicone earplugs. They're like for swimmers. And because you probably don't know this yet, but there's two screws that stick down out of your appliance that kind of scrape your tongue a little bit. You may want to put pieces of those thicker silicone earplugs over the screws to protect your tongue from getting scraped. Personally, I've done that once, and I've just allowed my tongue to kind of get used to the scraping. Now, during the procedure, I did ask her, just can you take that one screw up a little more? And she did. I don't know why they're there. I don't know why they're poking down. Maybe they're for elastics later, for braces. I have no idea. But I was not prepared to have screws poking down from the expander. Totally not expecting that. And then a mouth rinse. So they did give me a prescription afterwards to go get filled for a couple things. I'll talk about that now. Motrin 8, which is 800 milligrams of ibuprofen. Tylenol with codeine. I think it was called Tylenol 4 or something with codeine. And that was, I think, 500 milligrams of Tylenol, but with codeine. And you'll want to take a look at the side effects of these to determine if you want to take them at all. It was the side effects I looked like, I'm like, I'm not taking these. You can get 800 milligrams of Motrin or ibuprofen from, a bottle of pills that are 200 milligrams each. So, and then the third prescription they gave me was something called Paradex, which is a mouth rinse. Again, read the side effects. Not something I really want to take. I've done it 3 times. They want you doing it twice a day. I did use different mouth rinse. I do use different mouth rinse every day. One has tea tree oil in it. The other one is a hydrogen peroxide rinse. So I do alternate, and occasionally I'll use that Paradox, but that's not something I really want to use. So I'm not saying don't use it. I'm just saying I didn't want to use it. So I'll link the other two that I use down below. As far as medication, the day of, before your procedure, they had some ibuprofen sitting there waiting for me to take it as I was going to be in the procedure. So they were going to give me the ibuprofen. I didn't know that. So I took 600 milligrams of ibuprofen around 12:30, and my appointment was at 1:30. So that was fine. They did recommend 800 milligrams, but I took 600 because I'm smaller than a football player. So day of, so then the tech, cleaned my teeth. She did some etching, which I don't know what that means, but she did some etching on my teeth. She did have to do a retractor because my mouth is super small. They used like the child retractor, which I was grateful for. And then she put the appliance in and cemented it in, and then just kind of used the thing to cure it so that it bonds. Then the doctor who had come in between, she hadn't been absent all this time. She had come in and we talked and stuff. I asked her some questions ahead of time. So then it was time for I think she may be the one who had put the appliance in. I can't remember now. But she then gave me the shots of Novocaine. So I had said I do not want any Novocaine dripping on my tongue or in my throat because I've had that happen before, and then your throat is numb or your tongue is numb, and so you can't swallow. It's like I was having a panic attack when that happened. So we put a piece of gauze in my mouth so that made it and kind of go to the back of my throat, which I mean it wasn't bad. So that if there were any drips, it would catch into the gauze and I wouldn't get that. So I was very grateful about that and had thought about that ahead of time. So that's something you may want to consider. So she did the Novocaine, and it was painful, but she lets that sit for a bit and then just, taps in the screw holes to make sure that there's no sensation there because she'll be putting screws in. So everything was fine. And then she just used like a ratchet wrench thing to manually hand screw the 6 screws in. The 2 in the back kind of poke up, but I don't ever notice those unless I put my tongue back there. 2 are in the palate expander, and then 2 in the, well, they're all in the expander, and then 2 poke down and scrape my tongue. I was not expecting that. I was shocked. Because once the expander was in there without any screws, I was like, oh, this will be okay. It's no big deal. But then it's once you put those screws in, especially the 2 that are jutting down, that you're like, what the heck? I don't get it. I don't know why. There's obviously a reason because I'm not the only one who has this. So just be aware that's what it is. And so you just get used to that. You can use the lidocaine to numb your tongue a little bit, get used to it. You can put the silicone earplugs over those screws while you're eating or whatever. Anyway, you have to experiment and see what works for you. It's okay. Also, they give you some wax to cover over your expander because they want you to do that for the first 3 or 4 days when you're eating. But personally, I just drank like broth, protein shakes that were real thinned down, and then I got some soups or chilies and stuff that my husband had made that I just blended and then thinned those down with filtered water. So I was really doing, and I still am, and now I'm on day. I did it last Wednesday. Today's Monday. I've been eating some scrambled eggs, some yogurt, but then I'm doing these smoothie things. And I had some like breakfast potatoes, soft potatoes at a restaurant yesterday. So anyway, I'm not doing anything much, but I am definitely making sure that I'm brushing and rinsing and water flossing and rinsing with salt water right after the procedure for the next couple days, salt water, and then the rinse. So again, either the Paradex, the tea tree rinse, or the hydrogen peroxide rinse. So I'm always doing that twice a day. So, because you don't want to get an infection, right? You want to keep everything clean. So the flosser has been absolutely amazing. And I keep it on the child setting, so it's nice and low. Okay, so how about pain? So I took definitely some pain. I have a high pain tolerance. So I started the 600 milligrams before the procedure around noon. Let's say noon. It was 12:30. Let's say noon. And then every 3.5 to 4 hours, I did something. So after the procedure, I did a Tylenol, 500 milligram, and a 200 milligram ibuprofen. And then 3.5 hours later, so we drove home then on 95, terrible traffic. It was not fun at all for me. And I did get a Starbucks Frappuccino, half the sugar, no whipped cream, because I wanted the ice. So you can get some kind of iced coffee or something. I got a decaf, and then that really was nice. The ice on my palate was really nice. She did recommend getting something with ice, so I would recommend that. So every between 12 noon and 12 midnight, I did ibuprofen, the Tylenol, the 1 ibuprofen, 3 more ibuprofen, and then a Tylenol 500 milligram at midnight, and that was it. For me, that's all I needed. Was the pain totally gone? It was mild after that, but I really didn't want to take anything else until the night. I took another 600 milligrams that night. The next night I took 400 milligrams, and then the Saturday night I took 200 milligrams. So now I've weaned off totally. Then those were all ibuprofen. So we did 2 turns on the day of the procedure. She did 1, and then my husband did 1 because he was going to do it for me that Saturday, which was my first. So we did it Wednesday during the procedure, Thursday, Friday, nothing, Saturday, twice. So he did that one, and then he did the one in the evening, and then Sunday morning, I'm like, I should be doing this. So I've done Sunday, and now Monday, I've done once. 2 on Sunday, 1 on Monday. So yes, do your own because he just kind of was like, "Rrr," and I'm like, you're going a little too fast, and that's not gonna be good. With you doing it yourself, you can manage it yourself, and that's about it. I'm on day so Wednesday was put in, today is Monday, so 5-ish days, and I absolutely have no pain at all. The turns have been a little bit of pressure, but very mild and right because we're just at the beginning. So the first few days are a lot to manage, right? So you want to be reading your paperwork, making sure you're doing all the things they're saying, and then managing the tongue, trying the wax on top. So anyway, that was my experience. If this is helpful to you, go ahead and subscribe because I'm going to tell you when I'm getting close to the split or I'm feeling resistance and I have to call a doctor, I will post again. But for now, I hope that's helpful to you.